I do like the way the King James version lays it out, but this is fine because it makes the point, and there's absolutely no debating this point on this channel. And just so we get this point off, let's get the show off to a great start and just say that should should any of your comments have any personal um, references to me in any negative light, I mean, you'll be banned so fast it'll make your head spin. I guarantee that. So let's just go to why I can do that with a clear conscience. Yes, I'm reading straight from the plain English. I took a couple of bong rips, so I'm not really ready to do the King James. It's a little bit tongue intensive. So we'll just go with this. God so loved the world that he gave his only son, so that everyone who believes in him won't perish but will have eternal life. God didn't send his son into the world to judge the world, but that the world might be saved through him. Whoever believes in him isn't judged. It doesn't say anyone working for, anyone striving for, anyone beating their neighbor over the head with a Bible for. All right. Whoever doesn't believe in him is already judged. That's the truth, because they don't believe in the name of God's only Son. All right. And through Jesus Christ, I have been saved through his grace alone. You jinns, which brings me to my subject, which is jinns, Jinn. And I guess there's another way to spell it, but we'll just go with that. Now, this goes back to a couple different things. I'm going to go ahead and just throw my hoax hat off and go a little bit deeper tonight. And go back to some understandings within the New Testament, the Old Testament, just the story of creation, and how did this thing happen? How is this accuser accusing day and night, right? So then we know that this is the accuser of Job. This is the accuser of Job's brethren, which is all of us. You have, through the redemption of Christ, that's that closed loop. That's what takes you out of that accusation, because there's a promise made. And now we have to go back. I'm sorry about this chair, it's so squeaky. But there's a promise made, or we'll just say there's a promise made that lets this happen. And unfortunately, most people don't want to read all the back story. So I'll go ahead and fill it in for you, and that goes in for. We'll come back to this as well. So going back to the beginning, you have Iblis. Now, Iblis was a jinn, and jinns occupied the planet Earth before man was even created. All right. So now they were made from fire, and man would be eventually made from clay or earth, and angels are made from light. So as the story goes, the Iblis was one of the messengers, because at the time these jinns were rebellious, and they're killing each other and whatnot. God sends down his messengers. They start killing them, which leads us back to the husbandman story, right? Surely they won't kill my son, right? So Iblis is actually one of these jinn that never lost his faith. He always served God. So anyways, to make a long story short, he winds up in the inner circle, and when God creates Adam, or man, from clay, the angels which are of light, said they didn't. I guess this is where there's a big distinction you have to make. They didn't. They didn't question God, I guess, in a way, and say, "Oh, that's not a good idea." What they asked, it was in a pause. I guess it was a flipped way, because they said, they took it as, "What aren't we doing to please you?" type thing. And do you see how that's a different thing? And then Iblis when he saw the creation, which was man, because he's made of fire, he said, "This thing's made of clay. It's rubbish." You know. So when God told them to I guess the best way is to kneel or to bow or to just to give reverence to something created from your Father, your Creator. The angels did without question, and then Iblis did not. The Iblis is different than an angel, and that's where a lot of people get that mixed up. They say that the devil can appear as an angel of light, which he can, but that's only because his base is fire. So it's an artificial light. So don't confuse the two. That's a pretty big distinction, and it's been allowed to be mixed quite a bit. So anyways, so you have these jinns, which there are some left. So this is the deal. He's chucked out, but then guess what? He says before the time of their rising, which is all the Adam children, the creation of the clay. Before that time happens where they're all risen back, let me tempt them, and that's through where you get the prince of the air, because these things can tempt through suggestion, trying to get you to act against your better judgment, and the way to interact with this world goes back to the key of Solomon and all that, to where Solomon actually used these jinn to help him build the temple. I mean, read what those temples are dedicated to the darkness in which you dwell. So you have to understand at what point of time you're talking about and who you're talking about. It's real important. So this Iblis, of course, is going to make his seat amongst the Most High. This is your fallen. He wants to say angel, but it's not. It's a fallen. It's a fallen jinn, but it's made of fire. Thus, it looks like an angel of light. He's a liar because there's no truth in him, and you will find that those that subscribe to the same kind of attitude, you can spot them a mile away. I currently have a couple that are on my tail on YouTube, and you can see, because they can't help but be a product of their instruction. So they have a spirit listening or talking to them. Some jinns talking in their ear. They're putting out that and they're convinced it's true. It's of course nonsense, because it's individual judgment of a single person or being on within creation, which of course we can't be correct. So as long as you don't throw that first stone. Once the first stone's thrown, hey, Katie barred the door. It's asses and elbows. You know what I'm saying? You've been taking your teeth home in a cup. But I'm not going to ever throw the first punch. So anyways, that's kind of like how we got to this. So that's kind of creation up to that point. So we have this legion of devils. Now, when we go through this, Jesus walks up and he's asking, "What is your name?" And they say, "Legion, for we are many." And what do you notice? Do you notice nobody's shocked and, "Whoa, what's going on? Who are they?" It's just a thing. It's just a common occurrence that there are people with devils in them and that they get cast out. It's just that there are some jinn who are stronger than others. They do have power. They're just not very smart, but they're very powerful, and they have a big power of suggestion. And it's through our strength and our God-given intelligence they use to further their plans. It's not their intelligence. We're our own worst enemies, if that makes any. Everything means something. Every saying you ever heard actually means something, So anyway, so they do this. He casts them out into the swine. The swine run down, and they drown. And now, what the most important thing was when they ask, "Why are you here before our time, and what makes that interesting is that just kind of, it's just left hanging there if you don't know the backstory. Because if you go back to the jinn story, the creator said you have up until the time. Do you see? So there is a set time. So there is a time set for him. He doesn't know the exact time or hour, but he knows that his time is short, because this thing was an eternal being. So his time being short is not the same to us being short. It could be a lifetime, 2 lifetimes, who knows. It's all just, it's something like that. So you look at, when you have a question of creation, you should go back to, well, then where did that come from, and then can I make sense of that? Because then you can see all those so-called holes and whatnot in the New Testament. And people make claims all the time. You actually see they're not holes. You just haven't done the work, or they haven't done the work, or So, anyways, that's a short talk on jinns. All right. So, hey, I hope this helps somebody. Have a great night.